And it really, by itself, it stands, without the blue, it stands as a completely different work of art. I'm quite amazed actually to look at it, and it feels so different. It really, by itself, I would have like pulled out a whole edition of that, because you get to see things, because being a lino cut, quite often, you don't always get to see what's underneath. And so by not being able to see what's under the blue, or in this case, being able to see it, it's a completely different work. And again, look at all the texture that you have in the black, that Arnérat. And you know, that print almost killed Arnérat. That was the first one that Picasso really worked on with Arnérat. And he basically he was coming from the lithographic process into the linoleum process. And so this, he actually used, I think it's 6 different plates, linoleum, as opposed to what he then what he invents later on, which is using the same plate, you know, the famous construction through destruction. But this is the one where he's really trying to do it like lithography, which is so difficult in linoleum that Arnérat, the linoleum printer, almost lost his mind, because of course he was trying to please Picasso, but technically it was so complicated.
Almost impossible to pull this off. And so complicated with so many different cuts and lines and designs.
Registration, you can imagine.
That's it.
I think that's why we see this 2 different lines here at the bottom.
Absolutely. And also, but look at how beautiful that proof is, with all the different sort of, you know, shades that you get by the ochre meeting the red, and you get a 3rd color right there. You know, these little openings right here, because you've got obviously 2 different blacks here. And it's a really, really amazing, very, very rare proof. And I love the fact that you put right here the actual Cranach, the original Cranach that he based himself on.
I guess we'd be the only person in the world with that proof in private hands.
Yeah, probably the other one is in a museum.
I believe either in the Louvre or in the Picasso Museum. I know that the Louvre, in theory, was entitled to 1 proof of everything Picasso did as a printmaker. However, there are some gaps and holes.
Yeah, because also there are things that he tried and he experimented on, and we may not have delivered them directly to the Louvre. Yeah.
And Arnérat was a bit of a hoarder himself.
Yes, thankfully for, you know, future generation, because, you know, if not, they would all be in museums already.
Exactly. Now, this is one of the greatest color works ever done by any artist of any kind. To have a proof of this quality that's pristine, even seeing the edges go beyond all of the integral aspects of what was accomplished by Picasso and Arnérat working together. And you know, Bridget would often tell me that Picasso was very, very concerned about his proofs. He didn't like his proofs saucier. He didn't want them to be dusted up by the printers. So he would always insist he would pull a proof and he would take it au naturel. And if there was any dusting or saucing to do, at the swab, he would do it himself to his standard, and then that would be the standard that the printers would have to live with. So this becomes very special because, again, this is bare bones. What you're seeing here is Picasso's entire creative intent and technical genius at play with a simple guy who basically did bullfight posters, bar mitzvah invitations, wedding invitations, and he takes this little simple guy, you say it?
I don't know.
You have to be French. Get me some pâté immediately. But, at any rate, the essence of everything Picasso does as a technician and a great, insightful experimenter is here in this print. And it's a masterpiece because it's a symphony of everything Picasso does as a printmaker is embodied in that work. It's a masterpiece. And again, 3 centuries from now, this still will be talked of in hushed tones because it is so important.
Maybe even more than now.
Even more than now.
Yeah.
As Bridget said, many of his paintings and sculptures will come under negative scrutiny once an artist dies, but it's most likely that his prints, that will never happen.
Okay.
As you can see, Eric is well versed in just about any area.